I love it when it works, bro. I just love it when this thing works. I get anxiety every night. Just hello, is the internet working? You know. Anyway, how you doing, bro?
Okay, brother. Okay, just
What a game! What a game! Marcus went back in, did extremely well, but they fell short. But that's okay. That's what a $17 million 2-year contract performer can do. He can come in and play very well. So disappointed that they didn't win, but I can tell you, I was very impressed with. He hasn't played in a long time, so it was a good game. And Justin Herbert, the rookie, is amazing.
for the
Anyway,
Chargers.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that boy is very young, first year.
Also, he hit a record there for a rookie. The stats they was talking about it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of
This
the
guy
film.
is amazing. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
Anyway,
anyway, how you, bro? How are
I'm
you,
doing
man?
okay, man. I just like to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Last night we had a very, very good chat session. Thank you for the many responses. Mel and I we've been kind of chatting on how we count. Sometimes people said, "Oh, I saw you," and I go, "Oh, thank you," and I didn't recognize it because I look at the feed and I didn't see the name, but I forgot. When you share it, they may have watched it on somebody else's share, so I didn't know that. But I just like to say aloha, reaching out to everyone who's on this right now. Thank you so much. And I did good today. Started my day off early, which was surprising. And you know what? Usually I'm not a coffee drinker early in the morning, but darn it, and I had a cup of coffee, and for the first time, because I like a little coffee with my cream and sugar. Oh, I had one all black coffee, and boy, McDonald's, they get some good coffee at McCafe. Unbelievable. I mean, I'm just impressed. Me at
They,
61 only now. It's just like I'm a late bloomer. I just realizing that now.
they get real coffee. I mean, their coffee is actually pretty good. I actually like the McDonald's coffee.
Yeah.
But my daughter bought us sent us a coffee coffee
K-cup.
maker. A miss No, no, we had a Keurig, and then we went to instant. Because it's so much quicker with the hot water machine at home. And but you don't get you cannot beat one brewed cup of coffee. You just cannot. So my daughter sent us a little coffee maker, Mr. Coffee. So we're back to brewing our coffee, and gosh, man, it's so delicious. So thank you to my daughter, man, and her and my son got together, and they bought us a TV for Christmas.
Mm,
So yeah, we still, but yeah, the coffee, man, you cannot beat brewed coffee. Yeah, the Keurig, K cups, whatever, they're okay, but it's still not the same as when fresh brewed coffee in the filter with it's
yeah.
just the way it is.
Well, I don't know if you saw that picture. I am just so happy I got to meet your friend Juan Science,
Mm-hmm.
and we, like on air, Stephanie promised him to get him shrimp for his next giveaway. He does those meals, and
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to do I don't know what he was gonna do, but he wanted to add something. So we dropped off all that shrimp to him today, and he came out to Kala Hill. He was
Oh
having
wow,
yeah, because I guess he goes to Madeiras. And
Comoderas Farms. That's right. He mentioned that on the air.
yeah, so he went to go pick up. So he was in the area. He called. He said, "Okay, you wait right there." And boy, was it busy. But we met in a parking lot at where Koi Cookie
Mm-hmm.
Kitchen is. And poor guy, I guess he injured his foot. His right looked like his ankle. He was hobbling a little, but met his wife and kids and nice
Mm-hmm.
family. But I am so glad we got to do what we did. And I
Oh.
forgot last night there was someone and I forgot her name. We were talking about giving gifts to Uncle Manny Cabral,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, I did drop off a whole bag of good gifts to her, and I should have mentioned her name, and I'm sorry, dear. If you're on tonight, please accept my apologies. And to all of you who've continually written on the thread that you've been dropping off gifts and or money, thank you so much. Manny is so grateful because he texted me and let me and Stephanie know how grateful he is. Because, times are hard, right? And all Manny says is, hey, families, bring in your kids. while you folks waiting for your food, have your kids go up to a tree and grab a gift. What? How special is that, right?
Yeah,
For the
awesome.
boys and girls. Yeah.
Awesome. And thanks to you and Steph for doing that for Juan. And
Nice guy. Nice guy.
yeah, well, some families are going to get some shrimp dinners, and that's just so awesome. So thank you for doing that. Yeah, I want to announce that last night, Ed Horie won the bag. Guys, this is the way it works, right? Again, we're going to randomize the thing tonight in a minute or two with all the lists. The list got a lot larger since yesterday. So if you want to be entered for tonight's drawing, which will be done tomorrow, or tomorrow's drawing, don't forget, send me your name. Don't put it in the comments. Don't put it in the text messages. Put it in the messages. And then we'll do the random tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So just keep sending those names and we'll add it to the list. But this is the trick, right? We announce the winner tonight at 7. You have until 8:30 tonight to email Keala Wolf, who's the generous sponsor of all of the gifts. You have until 8:30 tonight to email her. If not, we're going to go to the number 2. And if the number 2 doesn't email her within a specific time, then we're going to go to number 3. Okay. So last night, Ed was number 2, but he ended up winning and he made the email contact and he's getting a gift getting shipped to him as we speak. So again, thanks, Kiala. If you guys want to be entered in again tomorrow night's drawing, then send me your name in Messenger. If you already sent it to me, you don't have to send it again. Just the new people, just the new people. And again, you gotta be here at the end of the show, or I'm sorry, you gotta be here at the beginning of the show to see if you want or not. And so that's the easiest way I could figure it out. Okay. So let's just go do it right now while we're here. While we wait. Tonight we got I forgot to mention we got Dr. Kapono Chong-Hanssen tonight from the West Side Community Health Center, and he's going to talk about vaccines. We're going to talk about the new quarantine, the shortening of the quarantine, and whatever. Man, we never know what we're going to talk about, but that's the topics that we want to talk about. So let's get this bad boy going. Hold on here while I get my screen up. Again, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in every night. When we add up all the views, it's in the thousands every night. And we're so honored and blessed and humbled. We just appreciate you guys so much. So don't forget to share it. Share it. Everybody share this broadcast and get it out to as many people as possible so we can keep our community informed and educated. All right. All right. So here we go, guys. Here's the dice roll. Remember, 6 and above. We go with 6 and above. We'll roll the dice. 4, not enough. One more time. 6 and above. So we got 6. We got 6. Here's the list. Everybody, you can see your list here, your names. Oh, we got a bunch of them. Look at that. We got a bunch tonight. All right. So here we go. 6 times. That's 1. That's a long list. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That is 5. As you can see, that is 5. And the dice shows 6. So here we go, everybody. This is the 6th one. Good luck, good luck, good luck. Tammy Ando, you are the winner tonight. Please email Kiala at aloha@haumeahawaii.com. That is aloha@haumea, Haumea, Hawaii.com. You have till 8:30 tonight to do it. And then Kiala will send you your gift, your prize. Tammy Ando, congratulations. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So again, if you guys want to be entered in tomorrow night's drawing, make sure you shoot me a message, a private message in Messenger with your name. That's all you gotta do. Just put your name. And
Mel, the people that didn't win tonight, do their names automatically roll over to tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm just keeping them on because it's just as this list grows to retype 60, 70, 80 names every single day. So we're just assuming that you're watching. If you're not watching, then you don't you don't win the prize. If you're watching, then you win the prize. So yeah. So already I'm seeing some new. Yeah, if you know Tammy, let her know.
Yep.
Um, Congratulations. And again, thank you, Keala from Haumea, Hawaii. Please go to www.haumeahawaii.com
There,
and check out what
Tammy is on, and she's asking, how do I get it? And you just let her know, Mel.
Tammy, congratulations, Tammy. You just got to send an email to Keala at aloha at haumeahawaii.com. Aloha at haumeahawaii.com. And
Okay,
if you
so
forget, just shoot me a message. I'll get it off to you.
you got until 8:30. So
Do it
again,
now. Do
yeah,
it
do
now
it
if you
now
can.
because it's ALOHA at HAUMEAHAWAII.com. Aloha at haumeahawaii.com. Congratulations, Sammy Ando. You're tonight's winner.
Yeah,
Right?
Sandy. So if you're on the list, Sandy, you don't have to send the name again. You just are automatically. If you're not sure if you're on the list, send them.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get punished if you send your name twice.
Yeah.
I put them all in one Excel spreadsheet, and then I sort them by name. So if you get duplicates, I remove them. So no worry, you're not gonna get entered twice. So I'll make sure each name is only there once. Okay, just want to be
And
fair to everybody. And
big mahalo to the lovely Kiala Wolf, all the way on the big island of Hawaii. Thank you, Kiala. Big
awesome,
heart. Big
awesome,
heart.
awesome. All right, Dr. Kapono Chong-Hanssen. You guys all know Kapono. If you haven't seen him yet, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat. He should be popping up right about now. There he is. There he is.
Aloha.
There we go. I love it.
Aloha.
When our guests come on and we see the video, I'm happy. When we hear your voice, I'm happier.
Yep.
I saw the Dr. Kim's episode. I was like, poor thing. But it's happened to me too. I call it Kalaheo Internet Bingo. Is sometimes what you play and just like, okay, let me get through this. Or can I turn my device into a hotspot? Let me try to reset the router. Just going over and over and over.
I tell you, man. And the night before, Spectrum was down in Wailua House Lot, so we couldn't go on the night before. And then I remember telling Charlie, "Brah, thank God this never happened tomorrow night. When we get Dr. Kim coming on." And then, sure enough, as luck would have it, but we got it kind of figured out. In fact, let me do that right now. I make Charlie a co-host, so if I go out, Charlie's connection will maintain and he can continue the discussion. So I don't anticipate that happening, but you know what?
Uncle Charlie, you got to work on your filler. You've been missing out on Kalaheo steak and ribs, and you're putting all your jokes online. So you got to keep some of those, in reserve.
Yep. You got it.
Yes, real quick, Kiala Wolf does have an online store. It's haumeahawaii.com. Haumeahawaii.com. And if you can, patronize the store. She's doing a lot for the community. She's doing a lot for us, and she's a wonderful person. So, all right. Dr. Kapono, man. I mean, it seems like every time you're on, so much has changed, so much has happened since the last time, and yet it's been such a short time. This whole COVID pandemic is a rapidly changing phenomenon, man. It's like things change every day, and and I was talking to Charlie, and I said, you know what, we got a couple of things we want to touch on today. One was obviously the vaccine. I just saw KHON2 alert pop up on my phone, Charlie, as we were doing the randomization, that there's a expected delay in the vaccines now coming to Hawaii. Just popped up 10 minutes ago. So
No, on the national news front, there seems to be, because there is a dispute between the White House and Pfizer.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
Dr. Gardner said that the vaccine in New York is expected because of that massive snowstorm they had. So UPS and FedEx is delayed. But we don't know why, because supposedly there was so much in stock in warehouses ready to be transported. So now they're trying to find out why is there a delay for some reason. And the White House is saying that the amount that was promised really wasn't that amount that was delivered. So, there's all kind of stuff going on, and I'm glad it popped up. But yeah, and then what they're saying is that you got the tier 1A, right? Which is your home, your frontline workers. Then you got the next one that still you got frontline workers that I guess you go up to the tier 2A or whatever tier. And they're looking at those frontline people not even getting it to sometime the summer of next year. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how this rollout is going.
Oh,
So I
and
think,
that's the, Charlie, that's what we've been talking about, and I'm glad Kapono is on that. They were this whole thing about the vaccine like it was a silver bullet, and it's gonna be a while, and that's why it's so important we continue the individual responsibility. But Dr. Kapono, I'm assuming that you watched the Dr. Kim episode and heard his discussion on the vaccine. But wanted to talk about that a little bit, as well as the governor's new proclamation that reduced the quarantine from 14 days to 10 days. So why don't we start with the vaccine? Let's start with the vaccine. And what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I can. Well, I'm learning about it just a little bit ahead of, I think, what you guys are learning about. And like you said, it's a really dynamic situation. So, just doing my best to stay on top of the information. I think I can give some specifics about Kauai that might be helpful. So, I do know that we're set for the vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, to arrive on Monday here, and they're focusing on frontline healthcare providers. It's 900-ish doses. I think it's 600 or so are going to be administered through Wilcox, and 200 plus through HHSC, so KVMH and Mahilona. We've been working for the past week just to try to get the numbers of all the people that might be interested, because there's also a lot of other healthcare providers that aren't necessarily affiliated or a part of those two healthcare systems. And our community health center is one of those. So we're partnering with KVMH and Mahilona because we're kind of co-located with them. 22nd, 23rd, and 28th are when we're supposed to start getting the vaccine. I'm tentatively planning to get it on the morning of the 22nd. And I believe there's going to be some media coverage for that in efforts to try to get the community more familiar with the process. So that's the general plan. I know that the other wheels that are in motion is that CVS and Walgreens are kind of like the leads for the vaccine for nursing homes and then like care homes. So the other, high priority tier, and they're expecting to be getting the Moderna vaccine tentatively for December 28th. And so, yeah, I just talked to my friend, my good friend Leland Ibarra, who works over at CVS in LA primarily, but Waimea guy. So, they're working out how they're going to distribute it. I know he said they have people that they're planning on sending to the nursing homes to do the vaccines, but they're also, planning how they're going to roll it out more widely. I have to say, I don't have a command of all the small kind of like foster homes that are out there. So I did just want to mention that, if you're running a foster home out there and you have high risk patients that are staying at your home, then, and you haven't heard anything, then it's best to start contacting CVS to try to, get connected and make sure that when it arrives that you're kind of on the list of who they want to address as far as the vaccine. So that's the general plan, but it's a work in progress, and it's unfolding next week.
Doc, let me ask you, with the sub-zero temperatures of storage, is it affecting how it's rolled out once it's in your control, or I mean, is it a rapid deployment that you try to beat that? I call it the warming phase, because when it starts to get too warm, then you I don't know if you'll run into problems. I doubt it, but nevertheless, there were questions brought up about that on the national level, and I don't think they covered it enough. But when you have at minus 70 degrees Celsius, that is some cold temperatures. Do you have, number one, first, do you have the equipment? Number two, is it part of the role? Is it part of your rollout? Especially if they, going to nursing homes and all of this stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll be packing it in dry ice or something to that effect.
So that's the Pfizer one is the one that has that requirement. And I believe that the thought process was, okay, let's use Pfizer on healthcare providers because it's more likely that they're going to be able to get connected in a hospital where they have the capability to store it properly. So my understanding is that Wilcox has that capability, and so does the Department of Health. But primarily, this first round is going to be stored at Wilcox, and then I guess taken out in the numbers that they need to administer it at the other facilities. If I remember correctly, Dr. Kim said it can be stored at regular refrigerator temperatures for about 5 days, which gives us a little leeway. It's not like you take it out and it's immediately ruined once it goes from -70. So I think that's that's kind of why Pfizer for healthcare providers, they're more connected to hospitals and familiar with it, and then Moderna doesn't have as much of the refrigeration issue. So I think that's what we're thinking, that the Moderna vaccine is going to be more useful for other populations.
Did you hear anything? We kind of touched on it a little with regards to the AstraZeneca. And Mel and I, we both were shocked. I don't know if you were shocked by all the other companies that we didn't hear of, but Dr. Kim mentioned. So, because I've always been one to think that, if you have a limited provider that can only provide so much, how do you get the numbers to meet the population base, right? But now I can see why if you got these other companies coming online. Did you hear anything about Johnson & Johnson or AstraZeneca from your end?
I haven't heard anything about them being, in any plan to be utilized in Hawaii yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the rollout is going to take some time. I think a lot of those companies, Dr. Kim was saying, was still in the phases. They're seeking to get that EUA approval, but it's going to take some time. And and I just don't know what the supply will be and how long it'll take to get everybody that needs to be vaccinated. So we'll see. We just got to wait and see. I know there's going to be a huge demand, I think. And we just got to wait and see. There's availability, and again, we just found out that the shipment is going to be delayed. My concern is that hopefully the second dose of the people that got there. So again, I want to shout out to Melissa Bolton, our brave hero who got her vaccine yesterday, and she posted on Facebook that everything is still going good, no side effects, which is a good thing. But hopefully, there won't be any holdups for the second dose, and everything is still seems. Listening to Dr. Kim, that we're still in the phase of somewhat testing, because the trials were specific to certain types of activities and not the whole gamut. So the people that are getting vaccines now and that will be getting vaccines in the upcoming months, obviously will have to be tracked, and we'll have a better idea of the vaccine and the effects of the vaccine in about 6 months or so. That's what it seems.
I have the same concern as you, about, gosh, is it going to be that we're going to be able to get one dose and then we're not going to get the second dose and then we're going to have to restart with a different vaccine? I think we just have to wait and see how that happens. But I think that, healthcare providers probably will, be covered with the Pfizer vaccine, but he mentioned too, is there's a limited supply of that. So you just got to wait and see. I do think that I want to emphasize that, for all people, that we should note how important it is to know what you got and keep a record of what you got for the first vaccine whenever that opportunity arises. I mean, with my patients, they hardly ever keep track. I mean, like they don't know what vaccine they got from CVS sometimes. And, we're going to do our best to help keep track of that record. I know that there's a federal database that is a work in progress to try to keep records of what vaccines people got. And there's also the state vaccine registry as well. But I would just encourage all the viewers that, you should try to take personal responsibility for what you got. You should be receiving a card like once you get a vaccine, and try to view it like your social security card, and really keep that safe until you know that it's being, tracked electronically. But I'm certainly going to, keep track of mine, because we don't know what the ramifications are going to be long term. And I know you guys talked about it with Dr. Kim. We don't know how long the immunity is going to last. It doesn't mean for sure that you can't transmit the virus, but it could be important as far as avoiding the need for quarantine if you end up being identified as a close contact of a case. And if you're traveling, it could be valuable as well. So I would just encourage people to have that on their radar and take some personal responsibility for tracking what you got.
I spoke with Melissa today, and what was interesting is, I think her PCP, she shared that, said that, should you experience a low-grade fever or something to that effect from the vaccine, I guess because this is an EUA, emergency use authorization, and there's really not a whole lot of data available. She was advised that, there's a number you call, and to register whatever supposedly that symptom is, so they can start that, because I believe everybody now is sort of like a test subject or going through this trial period on a larger scale. Now, the other question I had for you, Doc, is our seniors in care homes. I see some questions here. What if someone doesn't want to take the shot? Are they forced to take it? And two, in this case, maybe it'd be good for people to have if they're power of attorney for a loved one who's in a rest home, to have maybe a medical directive prepared that, when the vaccine time comes, yes, they want them to get the vaccine. No, they don't want them. Would that be advisable?
Usually with vaccines, there's a consent form, and if there's like a kupuna that doesn't have the capacity to make decisions, then the power of attorney would be the person that needs to give the consent for that. So they should have it on their radar. I mean, I don't know if they really need to go and, settle that question ahead of time, because they're probably going to have to sign it around the time that it's done anyway. At our organization, our CEO is more in charge of, whether we can require it for employees. But to my understanding, that it hasn't been settled whether it can be required or not by employers. So I don't think there are many settings where it can be, forced upon somebody, other than maybe, those settings where someone doesn't have the capacity to make their own decision, but they probably don't really understand. If they're refusing, they probably don't really understand it either. So sorry, I don't have the answer, the clear answer for that. Right now, the way we're approaching it is, the people that are really high risk, if they're saying no, then we just have a more in-depth conversation. Like, are you sure you really don't want it? But, there's some of our employees don't want to get it yet, and we're respecting that for now. And I think that's part of why we're rolling it out with healthcare providers first is, we're put your money where your mouth is, and we're willing to take that risk so that other people can learn from us. And I have enough confidence, I'm not saying that I don't have any hesitancy about it, but it's an important situation, and so I'm willing to take that risk. And I think most healthcare providers are willing to take that risk. Two of my residency classmates got it. They work for Straub, and they got it recently. So it's part of our duty. And I think that I hope that people feel like the reassuring thing is that, your healthcare providers are willing to do it on themselves, probably before you get it. So we'll take that risk on, and you'll probably see if there are some effects that we don't know about by the time it rolls out for you. Dr. Kim said we'd like to see more like a year or more. It might not be that amount of time, but we've seen after, I think it's been about 2 or 3 months maybe for the first groups. So it'll be approaching a year probably by the time it comes out to the wider general population. So we can wait and see, but that's what we're doing as healthcare providers, not only to protect ourselves, but it's sort of a community service thing too to the general population, that we're gonna go for it. We understand the science generally a little better than the general population, and so we'll take on that risk, and you guys will see. And hopefully we don't find any hidden side effects, and we find that these are efficacious in the long run. But we're going to proceed for now, and the wider populace can watch what happens with us.
Yeah, I think Dr. Kim made it very clear that during the EUA is not an FDA approval. It's not an approval for consumption, public consumption. It's approval to get a handle on a pandemic. And it's going to be quite some time before this vaccine will be approved for sale, for distribution to the general public. I know I saw one comment, and he is an attorney, and I know he's an attorney, I know him, and he's saying that while it's under the EU approval process, then you cannot mandate that anybody take this thing. So you're right, Doc. The next 5 or 6 months is going to be very telling as far as this vaccine and the impacts it has on the people that take them. We just got to wait and see. We appreciate all of you that are out there taking the vaccine. I mean, we know that at some point, the vast majority of the public is going to have to take the vaccine if we want to see the so-called herd immunity. And as Dr. Kim said, that wasn't part of the trial, so we don't even know how valid this vaccine will be as it relates to herd immunity, and it's the process that we're going through right now that's gonna determine that.
Well, yesterday morning, I believe it was Dr. Fauci, or the morning before that, when they announced the first rollout in the mainland, Fauci did say, because again, like the UK, there was one frontline worker at a hospital, took the shot, and like within 10 minutes had to be taken up to the ER to get, was in Alaska, I believe, to get an antidote to fight off the severe, because she went to anaphylaxis, right? So I think, it's what Fauci said, that, if you're going to take it and you have severe allergies, you should have some type of mitigating, like your EpiPen standing by, because you don't know. I mean, if you want to take it, but you have a severe allergic reaction, the question arose, in a greater population, whether you had the vaccine or not, would you trigger an allergy? And they said, yeah, it's common. So you don't know if the trigger is actually the vaccine itself pushing it to that point. So it's kind of interesting when he said that. So I'm one of those that carry one EpiPen. So yeah, I'll make sure I have 2 of them available when I take my shot.
Well, I think that's the other reason why to start off with healthcare providers and administering at healthcare facilities. So they're going to observe us afterwards, and we're going to be in facilities where you're close to an ER. So if something like that happens, we're probably not even going to do the EpiPen, just straight to the ER, and epinephrine and everything else can get started.
Yeah.
We have Judy's asking, can you ask the doctor how long it takes to scientifically determine long-term effects for the vax that usually determined in the phase 4 test, which they haven't done yet? I think Dr. Kim explained, we just don't know. And that's the thing. If you have allergies, you best talk to your private physician, your personal physician. Let them, give you your options. But any idea on how long, Doc, before they'll know the long-term effects? I'm assuming it's long-term to know what the long-term effects are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to overstep my bounds. I'm a country family medicine doctor, but I would say that anaphylaxis is not a long-term effect. That's a short-term effect. And Uncle Charlie, you said it's common, but I mean, it's not common like 1 in 100. I mean, like we know of those reactions commonly happening with vaccines, but it's not like they commonly happen, meaning most vaccines can cause that in a few people, but it's not like it's a lot of people that have that reaction. And I think the estimates for this vaccine so far are maybe 1 in 100,000 or something. So I mean, it's not a huge number. my dumbed down version of how long does it take to know the long-term effects, Mel, is it takes as long as it has been since the vaccine was started, you know?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
you just don't have that long because they didn't start administering it, you know, until a few months ago. So it's kind of hard to say, you know, those long-term effects, we could find out 20 years from now that, you know, there was some strange effect that happened to these people. But I don't think that's a common thing that we find out from vaccines, you know, that you know, many years down the road that we find something that happened.
Mhm.
I think for those out there that have a lot of questions about the vaccine, go back and watch our show a couple of nights ago with Dr. Kim. He does an amazing lay version description or discussion on the vaccine and how it, what the testing, what the trials were for. It was simply for to see how well this vaccine did in reducing the level of sickness that you would get if you contract the virus. Watch the show. It's very, very informative, and in a way, he does it in a way that we all can understand. So just go to my YouTube channel, Mel Raposo, and you'll see the big picture of Dr. Kim. Just click on it and watch the video. And I think you'll get a lot of your questions answered.
You know, real quick, Mel, I see some questions here. And some of you out there are writing in. Yes, you're right. But you know, tonight we have this esteemed guest of ours that we've had on before, and very, very knowledgeable. I'll say it firsthand. But like they always say, you need to have that discussion with your own personal physician. You need to have the discussion if you have a lot of questions, because that's the one you've been depending on for probably years. And he knows you in and out. You, whenever you get a flu, whenever you get your yearly exam, you go to that physician. Go to that physician and ask, you know, some of the pros and cons. And you know, the experts are always around. But I think, in looking at some of the questions, um, our goal is not to put doubt into taking a vaccine. Our goal is to get an understanding, you know, that there are certain things that happen during the rollout of this vaccine when it was first done, and the period was so short. The testing period, that's what Dr. Kim said, was so short that you couldn't accumulate enough information at the time to give it out. But because we have this pandemic that's moving so fast, 309,000 deaths. You know, what we're trying to do is put a stop in time to give us a little breather to find out what the next game plan is, hopefully. And that's what it's for. That's what it's for.
Right. That's a good point, Charlie. So I'm more like the guy that you might ask that question to. And, you know,
Right.
I'm going to be looking at your medical history. Do you have high risk conditions that are going to contribute to the risk of having complications from COVID or even dying from COVID? So you're weighing those risks versus the risks of the vaccine. You know, notable things that are not really settled yet is pediatric population. You know, are the risks, is the risk benefit ratio worth it for the average child? And right now, we don't know, and I don't think we're planning on you know, rolling that out widely. But maybe the high risk child, yes. Pregnant women is another population where it hasn't been settled yet, but you know, there are plans to look at those populations and study it better.
Mhm.
I think the bottom line is that, you know, for those of us in the general community, the general population, you know, we have some time. Chat with your doctor, like Charlie said. You know, talk to your doctor. They're familiar with your medical condition, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rely on the expertise of my doctor. I got asked a lot. No, you going to take the vaccine? I'm going to see, my doctor says to take them, I'll take it. I haven't spoken to her about it because it's not even available yet. But I mean, we will have that discussion. And I knew I had issues when I took the hepatitis vaccine many years ago. I never finished the series because of a reaction. You know, every vaccine is different for everybody. So your doctor knows you best. So talk to your doctor, and you know, I know we get a lot of viewers that want to ask you, whoever the doctor is on our show, for that medical advice, and that's just that's not ethical for Dr. Kapono to advise you one way or the other because they don't know you.
I did want to mention, I think that we would probably anticipate trying to, you know, through our electronic record, trying to generate lists of patients who have had certain diagnoses that are high risk and reach out to all of them too, when the opportunity arises, so that it's not all on you to say, hey, do I have this or not? So I'd imagine that's what's going to happen with a lot of medical providers, that they're going to say, hey, you have diabetes and you're over age 55. Let's call everybody that's been in our clinic that has that, or you have, COPD over age 55. Let's call all of them. So I know that's the strategy that we kind of have in mind to roll out as this happens.
Awesome. All right. The other thing I want to talk about, and I know a lot of comments and questions coming through, but we have a very limited time with the doctor. But the governor's recent reduction of the 14-day quarantine to 10 days, we had a little discussion on this the other night, and there's been some debate back and forth regarding the CDC recommendation. And let me just lay the foundation as I see it, Doc, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but the CDC's recommendation for quarantine is 14 days. They have allowed for variations or reductions if, in fact, certain things are in place for certain communities. But the CDC's recommendation was not for travel. It was specific to exposures. If you're exposed to someone that tested positive, that you go to quarantine for 14 days. If you look on the CDC website, they have a complete section on travel precautions. And their recommendation as far as travel is to stay home, don't travel. But if you travel, certain things. So I just want to kind of lay that out, because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's because that they're following the CDC's recommendation to reduce. No, CDC recommendation has always been 14 days. So we kind of wanted to get your take on this and what impacts will be.
Yeah, it was concerning because then all of a sudden, right after it happened, we had a case on Kauai that was outside of the 10-day window and within the 14-day window, so I was reading that CDC says that, maybe changing this will there will be a 1%, risk that people will be infectious after that 10-day window. The upper limit is 10%. I was somewhat reassured by reading an article that we're not the only country doing it. I mean, that always sort of helps me feel better when you see that there are other countries that are trying out this 10-day quarantine. And I think Germany is one of them. The UK is one of them. I believe Italy is one of them. I think I saw Belgium. And I know part of the rationale behind it is that perhaps if we make it 10 days, maybe I'm just making up these numbers, but if you make it 10 days, maybe 90% of people actually will quarantine for 10 days. Whereas if we keep it at 14 days, maybe only 75% of people actually, follow that 14 days. So that's another rationale behind it. So I think we just have to wait and see how it plays out. I mean, I certainly understand the concern that's well, it seems like we are going to increase the risk, by shortening that quarantine period. But I think we have to wait and see. I think it's a reasonable decision to make, as far as trying to find that balance between economy and safety. But, that's something I always appreciate that Kauai is paying attention to that, because, I just think that's what needs to happen. We need to start then paying attention to how many people were diagnosed after that 10-day quarantine, so that we can assess whether this is an acceptable risk or not, or perhaps it's even going to be more efficacious, but we just have to wait and see. I do think, for me, I was kind of raising my eyebrow about, well, the CDC also mentioned something about a second test at 7 days, and they have made a specific recommendation for travel as well, which is quarantining for 7 days and a test. Now I don't want to misquote, but I think that the test is at 4, 5, 6, or in that time period. So I think that if you're going to look at some things from the CDC, you probably should be looking at all of them. And I think that the state should be interested in those recommendations as well, but they did not embrace that second test and quarantine for 7 days as far as the protocol that we're allowing for close contacts. And I guess that probably correlated to why they didn't apply that to travel either. But I do think that that's interesting, and think people should be interested in the data behind that.
Yeah, I think that, I'm sorry, Charlie, but I think the difference, and this is the thing, when you take an excerpt out of the CDC's recommendation and use it to prove your decision or to validate your decision, Kauai is different because we don't have a test to come in. We don't require a test to come to Kauai from the mainland. Unlike Honolulu and Maui and the Big Island, we opted out. So our visitors that are coming in don't have to be tested. So now we have untested people coming in to Kauai and only having a 10-day quarantine. You know, it's one thing if you had your first layer of protection, which would be that test 72 hours before and you had a negative test. Okay, that's your first layer of protection. Not very effective, but it is nonetheless somewhat effective. And that, so we're not getting that first layer. All we're getting on Kauai is 10 days of quarantine. And we saw, like you just mentioned, the one case we had where it fell between the 10 and 14-day period where the person got diagnosed. So I don't think it's a wise thing. And I think the governor, with the governor reducing the quarantine and not taking care of Kauai, I think we're at a higher risk, and that's my concern.
Well, you bring up a good point that I think is getting lost right now in a lot of the media coverage, is that Kauai, you know, our mayor did not, I don't think his first desire was to go back to 14-day quarantine. It was to have a second test. I think the most recent is actually day 4 with a quarantine in between, and got no response, you know, and now he's getting a lot of, you know, to me, he's kind of getting thrown under the bus. But I don't think that was his desire. You know, he was forced. That was the only option that he was given because there was no response to anything else in between. So we'll see how it plays out. I do hear that he's getting a lot of pressure. And I did want to mention, you know, one of the most disturbing things that I'm hearing is these death threats. I mean, or, you know, people making threats towards the mayor or county personnel that are, you know, just doing their job and trying to get through this pandemic and make the best decisions. And even on the other side, I was interviewed for KHON, and then Cody Kimura, who was on here, he was interviewed as well. And he told me he received threats from other people who felt like he was, you know, saying bad things about the 14-day quarantine. I mean, so it's sort of like both sides. I mean, it's disturbing to me that people are willing to go that far during this situation. I read a story from NBC News that there's a mayor in Kansas that just resigned from being mayor because of all the threats to, you know, to their family, and that had to do with a mask mandate. So, you know, it's a balance we need to find. I certainly understand where people are coming from on both sides. And this whole thing about threatening people's lives about this situation just needs to stop. I mean, it's not, I guess I can understand, but I just don't, I can't believe that's, you know, what's happening. And I think people need to, if you don't mind, I guess I did do a little bit of number crunching. So I think people need to understand what could have happened, you know, or what could happen in Kauai in comparison to the mainland, because what we hear from our state leaders is, look how good we are doing in comparison to the United States, as if that's the standard that we should be comparing ourselves, but the United States hasn't done that well. Mm-hmm. So I was looking up, you know, the average deaths per 100,000 people for the United States is 94. So if you drop that down, you know, Kauai is like about 70,000, that's 68 deaths. You know, there's a county, and rural counties in the United States, a lot of them have not done well. You know, I mean, similar to here, you don't get the medical care that you need really quickly if a surge happens. So there was a county in New Mexico, they had 269 deaths per 72,000. Okay, so we've had one. So, you know, if you had somebody that saved 200 lives, or even saved 60 lives, that's a hero. You know, I mean, you look at those people, you know, like what's his name? Was it Sully? You know, the guy that landed the airplane. I mean, these people are viewed as heroes, and you know, that's what could have happened. So I just think, you know, it's ridiculous that people are going to, you know, threaten those people for trying to do something to protect the people, even if, you know, maybe it wasn't the best decision in the long run, but it's a reasonable decision. You know, it's not just making it for no reason or making it for personal gain or greed. I don't think. I mean, and possibly, you know, some of the economic sides are, but not all. You know, I'm not accusing all of those people. People are looking out for their own well-being. So I did want to mention that tonight, that like, look, we need to be civilized with each other. This is a challenging time for everybody, and threats to people's well-being, you know, is just ridiculous. It needs to stop.
Well, you know, I will add one thing, and that is, if we just look at that based on face value, that tells me, you know, the decision made by the mayor was a good decision, given the fact that here we are on the island, right? And if threats can be made on just a small mass, a speck of land in the middle of the ocean, that tells me that should the outbreak occur, we cannot outrun it. There is no way it's going to happen. We don't have that ability to go cross lines and get as far away. Now, look at this. You know, Ellison, the Oracle billionaire, he owns Lanai. He's going to Lanai because he wants to get away from California. He has that luxury to do that because he knows California is at a massive outbreak, and the island that he owns, though they had a cluster, it's well contained, and really there's nothing really because they moved on it relatively fast. He has that option. Folk like you and me, we don't have that option. So here we're on the island, we have to depend on our government officials to make sure that we're not put in a position because we don't have the luxuries of just running away. And I think that's what people got to understand.
I think people also need to understand that we are freer in our lives right now than a lot of places in the mainland as well.
Yes.
And you know, we should be thankful for it.
It's a tough, you know, like you say, we got to find the balance, and you know, we have talked about this on several shows about our support for the decision of the mayor. You know, Charlie and I both is, and many of our viewers. I mean, I know we have some that are very upset. I've read comments, I've seen comments on various pages and rants and raves, some really nasty things being said about our mayor. But you know, you gotta look at the events as they occurred, and you hit the nail on the head. He didn't even get a response. He didn't, you know, he what he wanted was a second test. That's what he wanted. And if he had gotten the second test with a shorter quarantine, we would have seen the visitors. We would have been able to keep our employees at work at the hotels. But the governor didn't do it. The governor rejected it. And you know, a lot of people ask me because I ran for mayor. A lot of times I get the question, "Now, what would you have done differently?" Absolutely nothing. The only difference between me and Derek, I'm much more loud and obnoxious and rude. He's a diplomat. He's a very, very, you know, he can be. I would blow a gasket already, and that's the difference. That's the only difference. But as far as the actions that were taken, I would have done nothing different. And I think we are where we're at today because of the bold action that he took early on, and that he continues to take. He knew damn well what was going to happen when he went forward with the 14-day. He knew he would upset a lot of people. But when you got to look at, that's what I admire about this mayor is that, you know, he doesn't make decisions based on politics. He's making decisions based on the health and safety of the people that elected him and that he represents. That's how I see it. And I know I'm going to get blasted by some people, friends of mine or whatever. And that's fine. We can agree to disagree, but he had no other choice. He had no other choice. And the best thing that we can do now is we all got to do our part and get through it and help each other out. That's what it's going to boil down to, helping each other out. We talked about the protesters the other day. You know, they're not helping each other out when they're out there without masks and without social distancing. But we have a choice, and that's we got to do this, man. And I appreciate you bringing that up, Dr. Capone. I really appreciate you bringing it up because the threats. I Charlie, have you gotten a threat yet?
Hmm.
You have.
They threatened to take away my Snickers.
You
I got a year supply right here.
know, I hope they catch the person that's making these threats, and I hope it comes to the prosecutor's office, and I hope it gets prosecuted to the full extent. Because you're right, Dr. Capono. There is absolutely no place for that. No place for that. No, I'm angry again. Charlie, why are you eating Snickers?
That's a nervousness that I get when we start talking about threats, because Capono has seen me on stage when people make comments, and I try not to be short-tempered. In my mind, it's going so fast. I figure, well, it's been a while, but no, my 2 cents on it is, you always hear this statement being made: we can agree to disagree, because we want to keep things civil as much as possible, right? We're not in a stage of war. A threat is like we're right at that edge, we're right at that cuff when someone will fire the first missile, and that's when the war is going to start. When it comes to this, we don't have to go that far. But I hope and pray, whoever did make the threats, they cease and desist. There's no room for that. What we're trying to do, I started to look at this from a different perspective, because I always use my brother, right? And I'm sorry I said use, but that's the only thing that I relate to with this pandemic, COVID. Took a family member, and I know there are a lot of other family members who lost a loved one because of COVID. But me personally, because it was my brother, I only wish and pray that he made it long enough that he could have seen a vaccine. But when the thing started and it was so brand new, nobody knew from day to day what it was going to do. I am just thankful to God that we've got the vaccine, and we can hopefully take that moment in time and put a little stop and try to figure out what would be the next move under, maybe some will say a different guidance. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but with people like you, Dr. Capono, like yourself, and people on the front line, they're the ones that's monitoring the beat, the pulse every single day when somebody comes in with that's a possible COVID case. You'll know, you'll see it. It's like a DUI officer. We can tell. We've made so much traffic stop. You can tell when a person, the way the car is reacting, that when you pull that person out, whether he's going to be intoxicated or not, or it may be a medical condition or not. It's just that you do it repetitively. And I think that's what we have to rely on. It's all the frontline workers, because they're doing it so repetitively, day in and day out. We have to listen to them, because they're right there. It's right in front of their faces. And unfortunately, some has lost their lives because they got tagged by it too.
Well, I wanted to.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just wanted to go back a little bit to what Mel was saying more, and really thank you guys for taking an initiative to also try to help support the local businesses. I mean, that's what Dr. Berryman called for too. To really try to support each other. And so, I think a lot of us healthcare providers, and people that have been critical of the reopening, I think we're being characterized as like, well, where are these wealthy people that are sitting up in, wherever, Princeville or something, and just, having comfortable lives. But I think, a lot of us are thinking about how to support these businesses, and, that's something that we're doing too. I just wanted to mention, I've been doing a lot of Christmas gifting and trying to be, generous this year with our employees too, and help them take advantage of some of the local businesses. And Malama Kauai put together a really nice gift pack that I've been sending to a lot of my friends and family on the mainland. So I really appreciate you guys getting that message out too, and getting the community to pull together, for everything we can do to try to take care of each other.
That's all we got. You think about it, right? You got all the vaccine people working on vaccines. You got all the legislator people and the mayors and governors all doing their thing. We all we got is each other, and that's what we're trying to do, and we do the Feel Good Fridays now. Tomorrow night we'll have Deja Vu in Mark's Place, just to share with us what they're doing in the community and the challenges they had with COVID and what they're doing to keep their employees at work. And we're encouraging all businesses to reach out to us so we can get you on. We're reaching out as well, but we want to really bring it home and use this platform that we have to share what we have available on the island that we can support. And the more we support our local businesses, the more people stay at work. And that's what we're trying to do. But we cannot do it individually. This is going to be an effort. This one is going to take more togetherness than Hurricane Iniki, because this is going to last a lot longer, and we cannot forget that. And I pray every night that we are able to do that and get through this. But we're not going to get it done unless we all band together, whether we agree or disagree. I mean, we gotta be there for each other. That's it. That's the bottom line.
I did want to say one thing to Doc. I see the comments, and I like to comment on the comments that's coming through. And if you can see them, a lot of people are thanking you for always coming on and sharing your manao, because you bring that little aspect of the Hawaiianness in the backdrop. You bring it to the forefront, because you talked about Kipuka before, and Auntie Steph read the article you did with Civil Beat, and she was very, very impressed. And I said, yeah, he talked about it before. But I just wanted to thank you on air, because I think we have a lot of doctors in their own ways bringing their expertise to the forefront. But being Hawaiian, ethnic wise, having you share your insight from that realm, it really touches the soul. And just by looking at the comments, a lot of people are very, very happy. So just thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you for the compliments, and I'll read the comments later. But that's Kuleana. That's what I wanted to do. It's something that is rewarding to me. So this is opportunity to step up, and I'll keep doing the best I can. I'm kind of all over the place now, but everything that we can do to try to keep our community safe. I'm hoping that a year from now we're going to look back on this and we're going to be able to relax a little bit and feel proud about what we did. But for now we just, like Onipa'a, just stay solid and keep doing what we're doing.
Right.
And really having empathy, or I'm not sure what the right word is, but putting yourself in other people's shoes and understanding what they're going through, and understanding that that this is not going to be easy, but it's going to be tougher if we don't band together. And I tell you, it always works that way. And yeah, one day we'll get past it. We'll get past this, and we'll be able to have some sort of normalcy. And that's what drives me. That's what drives me, is there is an end to this at some point. We will dictate whether it'll be soon or later. We want to be responsible, then we'll get through this sooner than later. That's the formula is not difficult. If we want to go mess around and forget about the rules and congregate and not wear a mask, then it's going to be later. So it's we as individuals, the lay people, not the doctors and not the scientists, but we as lay people have a lot to do to make this thing go away sooner. And we all got to do it. We all got to commit, and we got to do it. That's it.
Well, I think Lee Cataluna also did a great job, in Civil Beat, talking about how the experience is on Kauai, where we're a small enough community that if there's a fatality, we know that person. I don't personally know Ron Clark, who passed away, but quickly after that happened, I heard from people who did know him and heard about him as a human being. And I think he was like the driver for Governor Waihee, and it sounds like he had a really strong work ethic, and he was, still working and transporting travelers, and probably that was part of the risk that he was exposed to. But that we know the human story behind these kind of things, and it's not just a number. And in a lot of, in a lot of other places, those numbers just become so overwhelming. They really are numbers, but for Kauai, those are humans, and so, if we get a big surge, people will remember who those people were that we lost. And, I think that drives us to not let that happen, and do our best to prevent those bad outcomes from occurring. So same thing, I think hopefully a year from now, the tough thing, like with primary care, the tough thing is my patients will never know if the efforts that we did really helped them or not, because you're not going to know if you would have had a stroke or a heart attack earlier, kind of like I was talking about with Derek. In theory, I mean, Mayor Kawakami, in theory, he might have saved many lives already, but we'll never really know, other than that hopefully when this is settled down, we can look back and we can only be thinking about, a few of our kukuna who we lost, and we'll never know which ones we saved.
I wanted to ask you, we had this discussion, Mel and I had this discussion before, that, because the vaccine is here, we have this worry. And I don't know if the messaging is going out right from the government, that when you take the vaccine, you still have to, not double down, but continue to social distance and wear your mask, because like Dr. Kim said, there's still not enough info that will tell us whether this vaccine, I mean, it will help us, but it doesn't say anything about the ability to transmit, if it will do anything to it. And I'm just afraid that those who take the vaccine, and I'm not saying this about the frontline workers, but whoever, in that population, that when they do take the vaccine, they say, yeah, I get nothing to worry about. Yeah, that's you. But what about others? And I'm fearing that they're going to be haphazard in a sense, complacency factor, right? What would you say to that? What do you say to that?
I think there's an added layer to it, that, with all these, I'm going to use Uncle Charlie term, with these knuckleheads out there that, they think it's fake or something. How are you going to know whether whether someone really got the vaccine or not, and they think they don't need to wear the mask because they got the vaccine? So, or they're just saying they got the vaccine because they don't want to wear the mask. Right now there are people who just don't want to wear the mask anyway. Mm-hmm. So I would say just, same thing for the greater good. We just need to make masks like it's nothing. You just put it on, just like you put on, you're going outside of your home, you put something on. You're not going to walk out with your underwear. You don't walk out with your mask. Just get used to it. Just like everybody else, I hope there's a time when we don't have to do it. But for now, just keep doing it through the vaccines, and hopefully we find out that's that it's not necessary once we get enough people vaccinated. But it's too early to think that that's okay to change our practices. And frankly, it's easier to just keep your habits and make it a good habit and just keep doing it.
Perfect.
Awesome. I like your analogy, and it's like the lifeguards. The lifeguards, every year you get a report of how many people drown. The one thing that you cannot quantify is exactly what you said, how many lives were saved because the lifeguard told that person, hey, don't go in the water. Hey, the currents are bad. So they don't go in the water, they don't drown, but you never get to count them as a save. Same with COVID. So I understand your point completely. I did also want to say I knew Ron Clark. He was a good friend of mine for over 20 years. And his work ethic was tremendous. And he's not a number. He's a human. He's a friend. And we lost him. And some may say it might be unnecessary. But until we can appreciate that these aren't just numbers, that then it's going to be minimized. And we gotta really remember that behind every number is a person and a family that we got to take care of. So anyway, we went. It's 8 o'clock, Doc. Any closing comments? You want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would go back to the thing I did partly want to emphasize is just this threat stuff on both sides has got to go. I mean, it's just people that are making tough decisions for the safety of the community. They don't deserve to be threatened. People whose economic well-being has been threatened by that, and are making reasonable statements about their businesses and how it's impacted their lives, they don't deserve threats either. So I mean, that all just needs to go. We're on a small island. I do think that part of the, what we call the Aloha spirit, or about, Hawaiians and Polynesians in general being able to get along with each other as a society, partly has to do with living on islands where we can see the constraints that we're living under. I mean, we could take canoes and go to other islands, but generally, you only have what's on your island. And if there are conflicts there, they need to be worked out, and you need to get along for the prosperity of everybody. So we should keep those things in mind. I guess the takeaways for me tonight is only, we got to stay solid with this. Everybody's getting fatigued, but, think about the people, the vulnerable people in the community, and what we're doing to protect them. And then malama ke kahi, you just keep on taking care of each other the best that we can. That's our strength. It's probably part of the reason why Hawaii has not had a surge after Thanksgiving yet. I don't want to, be too accused of fear mongering again or anything, but if you look at the curves now, they're starting always looking like it's going up. It looks like there might be some upticks happening, so with Christmas and New Year's coming up, we still got to do our best to make sure that the surge doesn't happen, because there's some signs that it could be on the way, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, thank you very, very much, Doc, for that closing comment. And yes, you're right. Everything you said, you're absolutely right. And I like to echo that. I know our brother Mel had to go to tend to a little something on there. I just got a message, but everything's okay. He should be back on shortly. But I'd like to say, first of all, thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. As always, you always bring that, you always bring that ray of sunshine with your thoughts and your presentation. It's a good balance for all, and I want to thank you personally, and I know the people are grateful as well. To our viewers out there, we've for these last 10, maybe going on 11 months, we've been on a roller coaster ride. We've overcome a lot of hurdles. We have climbed those peaks, and we have gone down in those valleys, but we are who we are. That's what makes us living we are the luckiest people in the world, I have to say. I love Kauai, I love Hawaii, and we are lucky. But we have to continue and do whatever we can to keep not only ourselves, but everyone around us safe. And we have to do our part. And for those of you that see my post when I put it out, I always talk about kupuna safety tips. Well, maybe I should start morphing into safety tips for all. And we need to begin by watching our tongue can be a very dangerous weapon. It can cut one way, and when you try to retract, it can cut again, because sometimes the retraction comes too late. We just have to learn to be sensible with one another. If we disagree with somebody, we just keep it to ourselves, okay? And like I've said before, if you're gonna continue a conversation, just be humble about it, because hey, we're all grown adults, but for the most part, we have to learn to take care of each other. And last but not least, this virus doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere soon. Let's let this vaccine take a hold, and let's see how we can snuff this thing out. Because I'm sure we're gonna end up that day where we're gonna get the all clear sign from the officials that will give us that sign, and then everybody can celebrate. Because Mel has put me on a spot that I'm going to throw a big party at the Aloha Stadium or wherever. And guess what? I'm taking up that offer, because guess why? They're closing the Aloha Stadium. They reported it today with all the maintenance problems they're having. They're shutting the Aloha Stadium down. There will be no more Aloha Stadium. So I'm taking up your offer, Mel. But we'll find an alternative location. So love you all. Thank you very much. Mel, take it away.
Well, see, Charlie, you obviously misunderstood. I said the Vidina Stadium. And
is that what you said?
Exactly what I said. So
is that what you said?
Yes, exactly what I said. But you know what, Charlie, I'm gonna help you. And we got so many friends now, which is what I plan to say tonight. You perfect segue, man. You and I, we think so much alike. But one of the things that we have really I had no idea who Dr. Kapono was before COVID. I know Charlie, you did,
Yep.
but I didn't. I didn't know probably 80% of the people we've had on the show, I never knew. We have not met personally yet, but I look forward to that concert that Charlie's going to put on at Vidina Stadium. I've already lined up a bunch of entertainers. I know you have, Charlie, and the food. It's going to be solid, man. But that's going to happen. It's going to happen, and that should be our motivation. And let's get to that point so we can all enjoy each other in a safe, very safe environment. But if not for Dr. Kapono and people like him, who's willing to come on and share and inform and educate, which is the whole theme of our show, then we wouldn't have a show. And I am just humbled at the amount, as we were talking and counting viewers, which we don't normally do, but we just wanted to get a little idea, and it's tremendous. So we have a great platform for people like Dr. Kapono and Dr. O'Carroll and all the rest to come on and share. And we're humbled by it. And we want to make sure this is available for everybody so we can get the word out. And we appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget, guys, if you guys want to be entered in the drawing for that Haumea Hawaii gift from Keala Wolf, send me your name in a messenger, and we'll get you on the list for tomorrow night's drawing, which we do at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. If you've already entered, don't worry about it. I got your name, and we'll pull that at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow night is what the heck?
Marco Yama?
No, but what do we call it?
Freaky Friday.
No. No.
Feel Good Friday.
Feel Good Friday. Feel Good Friday.
Freaky Friday, yeah.
We get Mark's Place and Deja Vu, two local companies been around for a long time, and they're going to share with us. And again, if you know of any small businesses, local small businesses, or if you are a small business and you want to come on the show and share, please reach out to Charlie or myself, and we'll get you guys on. All right, Doc, thank you so much. We love you. Viewers, we love you too. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. You guys take care. God bless.
Thank you. Aloha.